Bonjour. My name is Claudine Hemingway, and I am a contributor for Bonjour Paris, and I want to take you on a small walking tour of some of the highlights from my article on Rue de l'Odéon in the 6th. Rue de l'Odéon sits just off of Boulevard St Germain, which is just down there at the end of the street, and it's basically kind of known as a street that gave birth to a lot of publishers, writers, and famous bookstore many people know today. But it kind of all started here at number 7 when Adrienne Monnier opened up her La Maison des Amis des Livres in 1915. It was here that she had this bookstore, right here at number 7, and where a few years later, a young lady would come to Paris named Sylvian Beach, would meet Adrienne, fall in love with this bookstore, and fall in love with Adrienne, and decide to open up her own bookstore, as you know today as Shakespeare and Company. The current one has really kind of nothing to do with her, but you know, the story's still great. It actually opened up around the corner. It didn't actually open up on Rue de l'Odéon. Its second location was on Rue de l'Odéon, and we'll see that in just a minute. But at number 8 right over here is where the office of Robert Macmillan's Contact Press was, and that is where Ernest Hemingway had his very first book published. His book, 3 Stories and 10 Poems, was published by the man that lived right there and had his office. The other thing that's pretty cool about Rue de l'Odéon is it is the very first street in Paris that actually has sidewalks. Because you see the theater up there, all of the different well-heeled, fancy Parisians would come to the theater, didn't like to have to get out and walk in the mud, so they decided to put a sidewalk here in 1779. So, quite a long time ago, but this was the very first one. Pont Neuf, when that was built, that kind of technically had the first sidewalk, but this is the first street sidewalk. So, as I said, Sylvia Beach, she actually had Shakespeare and Company. The very first one was actually right over there in number 12. This is where she would meet Hemingway, Gertrude Stein, James Joyce came in there, F. Scott Fitzgerald, everybody. Her bookstore was also kind of a bit of a lending library where you could take out a subscription and get 2 to 4 books a month, take those, read those, bring those back. It was kind of the early day library in a much smaller setting. But she lived right over here. She had her bookshop right over there, where she also published James Joyce Ulysses, who he was having a really hard time getting his book published. It was getting banned in the US because they thought it was too scandalous. So she decided on her own to take it over and publish it herself. So here there still is a lot of bookstores here. There's rare bookstores. There's a really, really great one up here you should definitely go and check out if you like books, either French or American. There's quite a few places around here that actually sell. There's a Red Wheelbarrow store. There's a San Francisco Book Company. And here at number 18 is where Sylvia actually lived the rest of her life. She and Adrienne moved in here after the war, after World War II, after she had to close up her shop because of the Germans coming in. You'll have to read all that in the article. But she moved into number 18. She lived on the 4th floor. And on August 25th, 1944, when Paris was in the midst of its liberation, Hemingway came back into town. And he came down this street with a Jeep and a bunch of men screaming out her name. She looked down from the window and said, "Hemingway!" They ran down the stairs, greeted him in the street. He came back up to the apartment, said, "What can I do for you?" And she said, "You could help." I go, "You could get rid of these Germans. They're still there. They were on the roof still, and they were firing down into the street, and it still wasn't stopping." So he came back downstairs, got a couple guns, caught a couple guys. They went back to the roof. There was a lot of firing, and then it stopped. And so, in essence, he actually liberated Odéon, even though everybody wants to tell the story about liberating the Ritz, which he actually didn't do. He just liberated a whole lot of martinis. But he did liberate l'Odéon. Also in this building lives a good friend of mine and the amazing author John Baxter. He just actually lives up there at the top. He has written a bunch of really fantastic books about Paris. He is one of my favorite people to spend time with in Paris. He also lives in this building. So for me, when I come to Paris and I visit him and I walk through those doors, and it's the same exact doors that the Hemingway, long before me, almost 100 years ago, walked through. It's pretty amazing. It's pretty special. So, but this is Rue de l'Odéon. There's a whole lot more to it. You'll have to read the article on Bonjour Paris and check it out. Thank you.